Hello FPL managers and welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub's best transfers video ahead of Game Week 5. The eagle-eyed amongst you will have realised that I am not Fergie. Unfortunately, Fergie is taking his international break a week late, so you're stuck with me. My name's James. As always though, joined by FPL General. Mark, it's so nice to be reunited with you at long last. How have you been, mate?
Yeah, I've been good. It's been too long. When I answered the Zoom call first, I thought Fergie had finally gone and got that hair transplant he's been talking about for a while.
Done a Wayne Rooney.
I quickly realised then that the big grin is back. Yeah, it's been too long. It's good memories of doing Fantasy Weekly and stuff. It's probably 2-3 years ago now. So it's good to be back alongside you.
It's great to be speaking to you. How are you getting on this season, mate? Presumably not as well since you and I have stopped talking.
Yeah, that's been my downfall. Yeah, it's all that sage advice on it late on a Friday night. It's going fine. It's what are we 4 game weeks in? I think my rank's about 220k. So yeah, pretty happy and very early days. Still have the wild card. So yeah, just content. I mean, I'm trying not to look at my rank too much this season. It's something I'm trying to do more. So yeah, very happy. Just kind of plodding along. Nothing too spectacular, but green arrows every week so far, I think. So hopefully that can continue.
Excellent. I'm jealous about that wild card. I spurned mine last week on Dominic Calvert-Lewin amongst others, so I'm reeling from what should have just been a -4. So, Mark, you might have to hold my hand a little bit through this video. As far as I'm aware, we just go through your top transfer targets ahead of the weekend,
Yep.
And then we also cover one differential as well, who in my personal opinion is probably the best of all of the picks, with all due respect. So with that in mind, mate, shall we just get into it? Your first one that you've picked is Patrick Bamford. Talk about him. Why are you so interested in Patrick Bamford ahead of Game Week 5?
Yeah, I think I'm a big fixtures manager, and Leeds are just hitting a couple of nice ones now. I think a lot of people have issues up front this week. We're kind of being forced into forward transfer. Antonio suspended, Calvert-Lewin's injured, so a lot of us are looking for a striker. I've got both of those guys, so I think I'm going to sell Calvert-Lewin, and to me it's either Bamford or Jimenez. I've kind of been banging the Jimenez drum for a couple of weeks now, but he's not doing it. It's got to the point where it doesn't matter how good underlying statistics are. At the end of the day, if a player's not getting the FPL points, it's quite hard to invest. So at least Bamford's got a few attacking returns this season. And I think I'm just going to back Leeds to, deliver in the good fixtures. They haven't been great so far this season, but very often, once the fixtures turn, we see an upturn in form of teams and players as well. So I know some people are panicking a wee bit because Bamford mentioned his hamstrings were pinging after the game last week. But I think people are just reading into that too much. So I will be waiting until Friday, just in case Bielsa says something on Thursday. But yeah, I think Bamford's a very good transfer in this week.
Are there any other forwards, apart from the differential, which we'll get to at the end, are there any other forwards that are potentially entering into your thinking? I know some people are looking at Watkins, for example. Others even looking at Jesus at Man City, who's I think he's maybe 8.4 at the moment. So a couple within that price range, if you can get to them. Any of those float your boat?
Yeah, for me it's Jimenez or Bamford. Jesus, it hasn't even crossed my mind this season. I know he's getting a lot of game time, but at the end of the day, he's reverse out of position. He was playing on the wing, and once his Champions League kicks in for City as well, there's going to be even more rotation. So I would like Jesus if he was playing up front, but that seems to be Torres' position for this season. So he's not in my thinking. I don't have any City players. I'm just not going there for the time being. Watkins did look great. Game week 4, good underlying numbers as well. I think it was 6 shots, 5 in the box. But I moved away from Danny Ings last week because I don't think Villa have been great so far this season. So I'm not in a rush to go back to Aston Villa. Watkins is not the problem there. I just think Grealish is a huge miss from that team. So yeah, for me it's either Bamford, Bamford or Jimenez, or else if you've got 2 frees, or if you want to take a -4, get up to Ronaldo or Lukaku somehow, or downgrade if that's what you're thinking as well. But yeah, for me, I think Bamford's just an easy one.
Yeah, excellent. And if you did have 2 frees, you've mentioned that you have Antonio and Calvert-Lewin, of course, both ruled out for Game Week 5. Would you be tempted to do a double transfer there and getting Jimenez and Bamford, or do you think Antonio should probably stay on the bench?
Yeah, I think Antonio's worth keeping. You know, even if it means you've got a pretty weak 11th player this week, I think Antonio has Leeds in game week 6. Doesn't get much better for attackers in terms of fixtures for that one. So I'm quite happy to see lots of people selling Antonio this week, and I'm looking forward to his hat trick against Leeds. And he's been amazing this season. I know the red card was frustrating, but you know those things happen. So yeah, he's a beast. We know he's a beast when he's fit. I'm not concerned. A lot of people are talking about Europa League maybe having a negative impact, and until I see it having a negative impact, I'm quite happy to keep him.
Yeah, both from a FPL points return perspective and also underlying stats perspective, it's very hard to beat Antonio. So yeah, hopefully, Mark, by the time we get to game week 6, he'll be somewhat of a differential against that Leeds back line. That would be brilliant.
Exactly.
All right, let's move on to your second pick, which is Damari Gray. Scored again on Monday night's football in game week 4, and a great little run of fixtures ahead of him, Mark. Also, pretty decent value. Why haven't people been looking at Damari Gray more seriously up until game week 4?
Yeah, I think it's mainly managers like myself and yourself probably who've been playing the game for a long time, and we've got previous experiences of Damari Gray. And not just Gray, you know, similar players who do it for a short spell and then disappear. So it's quite hard to shake those, you know, previous biases. So I just think, you know, when sometimes all logic goes out the window, if you've got a cheap asset, scoring goals, playing with confidence, you just get on it and you see what happens. You know, I did that with Ben Rama, game week 3. Hasn't paid off, but you know, I'm still confident that he might do well over the coming game week. So yeah, Gray, just fixtures, form, confidence, you know, new manager bounce seems to be taking effect there now as well. And it's interesting there because they've got lots of options, similar prices. You know, Townsend and Doucouré are performing pretty well also. And I don't actually think there's too much between all three of those. But for me, Gray just slightly shades it. You know, seems to be playing pretty high, you know, using his pace to get him behind. That's how he got the goal against Burnley. And, you know, yeah, we know he's a good player. And it's good that we're finally seeing, you know, hopefully he's going to realise his potential this season.
Do you think with Man United in game week 7, West Ham in game week 8, that Damari Gray is somewhat of a short-term transfer, or do you think actually deserves a place in your side, you know, up until potentially second wildcard territory?
Yeah, it probably is a bit more short-term than the others I'm going to mention today. And again, the reason I'm throwing him in there is because I think myself and a lot of other people will probably start to think about wildcard soon anyway, whether it be game week 7, game week 8. I think a lot of people will go then if they haven't already. So I think you can bring Gray in and look at it as a short-term move, you know, with a view to maybe reassessing him then on the wildcard. But again, if you get him and he does well, if he continues his form, you know, you'll happily keep him, especially at that price.
Yeah, too right. And with the absence of Calvert-Lewin, we reckon, I mean, at the moment, the official site has it until 2nd of October, which would mean the Manchester United fixture in game week 7. Do you think that gives Gray opportunity to flourish? Do you think that maybe Everton's attack will be hampered by Calvert-Lewin's absence? How do you see that playing out?
I don't think it will have too much of an impact on Gray or Everton because there's a ready-made replacement there in Solomon Rondon. You know, him and Calvert-Lewin are, you know, pretty similar. You know, it's going to be still going to be balls into the box for Rondon from the likes of Townsend, and Gray I think will be able to continue in the position he's been playing. And you know, there's maybe even scope for, you know, if Rondon doesn't start one of those games, maybe there's scope for Gray to even, you know, play out of position. We've seen him do at other clubs. So yeah, I don't think Calvert-Lewin is an issue there.
All right, mate. Thank you very much. Tempting indeed. All right, let's talk about your third and final target before the differential, which is Fernando Marcel at Wolves. I just need to point out here to viewers that the predicted points tool that you can see on the screen here at the moment, I think, has either glitched or it's factoring in a lack of minutes over the last 6 fixtures, because for whatever reason they've got him as under 1 point predicted for every single one of his next 6 fixtures. So take that with a pinch of salt. Mark, tell us why we should be considering Marcel at the moment.
Yeah, it doesn't fill me with confidence that he's going to get -1s for the next couple of weeks. It's you know, Wolves have been very impressive to start the season. You know, they were unfortunate in the first 3 fixtures not to get results. You know, they only conceded 1 in each of those. And they finally got their first clean sheet of the season in game week 4. And Marcel, 2 assists. You know, there's lots of options in the Wolves defence. You've got Marcel on the left, Semedo on the right, and I still think Cody's pretty good value there as well. And even the goalkeeper, if you want to spend an extra 0.5. I'm just leaning towards Marcel. Probably a bit of recency bias in there, given just got the 2 assists in game week 4. I think he also had 2 goal attempts in the game, so that's encouraging also. I know Semedo had 2 big chances and really should have scored probably both of them, if not one of them. So it comes down to personal preference on those two. I don't think there's much between them, and when there's not much between 2 players, I just go for the cheaper guy. I think Marcel might be up to 4.6 now, Semedo's 4.9. I mean, there's not much in it, but yeah, I just rather save those few pennies, which could come in handy somewhere else. And we know Wolves have, the best fixtures out of any side long term, and they're passing the eye test. The underlying stats are good as well, so it's a perfect storm to buy 1 or 2 Wolves players at the moment.
You can see there Brentford, Southampton, Newcastle, Villa, Leeds and Everton in their next 6. So as you say, Mark, incredibly good defensive fixtures. And there was, for me, wildcarding last game week, there was a lot of literature about why at least one of my defenders should be a Wolves defender. And I think you're absolutely right to point out that if you've got 2 attacking-minded defenders in there, go with a cheaper one, and 4.6 million seems like great value. Wolves also looking very, very resolute.
I'm even seeing this week, a lot of people are on wildcard again this week, going into game week 5, and those managers who are trying to fit in, Salah, Ronaldo, Lukaku, a lot of them are going 4 at the back, and what I'm seeing is Marcel and Semedo, or Semedo and Cody, and I think it's fine, because I always think with defenders, if you're backing one of them to get you clean sheets, why not back 2 of them? That gives you quite a bit of a differential, going for 2 Wolves defenders. So yeah, don't take my word for it now. I'm not saying they're going to get 5 clean sheets in a row now, but there's definitely value there.
No, that's it now. We're holding you to that, mate. You're right about the double up, and I think logically you're completely correct to say that if you think one's going to get a clean sheet, why not get 2? But Mark, have you ever watched a game with double defence before? There's nothing worse. Nothing worse.
No. I'm in a good habit now of a lot of the time I switch off on a Saturday, but I certainly switch off between 3 and 5 because it's not just having a double up, it's watching all of your 4 or 5 defensive assets. If they're all playing at 3 o'clock, when it gets to 25 to 5, all the clean sheets are intact. It really is squeaky bum time, and it's a roller coaster, and it's a roller coaster I haven't taken a ride on in quite a while.
Yeah. Don't blame you at all. Right, let's get to your differential for game week 5 now. And I love this one, both from a personal perspective and from an FPL perspective. It is Norwich legend Teemu Pukki. And Mark, what I'm going to do, I've got Pukki on screen at the moment. I'm just going to flick across to our graphic, which is the top expected goals between game week 1 and game week 4. And Pukki, remarkably, this is amongst forwards, by the way, is 5th. Which I think would surprise a lot of people because obviously I think the only return he's got so far is a penalty, but he could be a sleeping giant.
Yeah, you going into the season, Norwich had the toughest start of all teams. I think they had Liverpool and City in the first 2 games. And once it got to around now, game week 4, game week 5, that's when fixtures start to turn for Norwich, and that's when they're going to have to start picking up points. And I was a little bit surprised with Pukki's price in game week 1. I think when Tony was 6.5, I thought Pukki might be 6.5 as well, especially when he's been in the league before and he had a pretty good season with Norwich a couple of seasons back. So I still expect him to score a decent number of goals this season, even though he's only got 1 so far. He's got the penalties. He's one of the first names on the Norwich team sheet. I don't think he's been getting 90 minutes every week, but I think he had COVID recently. So he's probably just finding full fitness around now as well. And I think he's dropped to 5.9. I mean, that to me represents pretty good value. When the fixtures are okay, I think if you're looking for a differential, someone who's going to play every week, who's on penalties. Yes, Norwich are not great. Sorry, mate. But the potential is there. I mean, when he scores, he's likely to get a bonus point or 2 as well. So I think he can do a lot worse than Pukki. I mean, if you're selling Calvert-Lewin or Antonio this week and you want to free up cash maybe for a midfielder or to pump more into defence, I think you can do worse than going for Pukki.
Yeah, I like this shout a lot. And I must say, not to put too much Norwich bias into this video, but Norwich's frailty doesn't seem to be going forwards. I think that's the other thing to point out here. defensively, they're incredibly vulnerable. Yes, they haven't scored a lot of goals either, but when you watch them, and the first game against Liverpool was a great example, they do carve out opportunities. And Mark, I think you're exactly right to say that Pukki's talismanic role in that side will mean that he does get chances, and I think he's got still a feasible chance of racking up 10 goals this season. I really do. Guys, next week you'll be pleased to hear that Fergie will return to this seat with Mark. But Mark, it's been a pleasure. Let's get the old team back together again soon, I hope. But have a good game week 5.
Do the Harry Redknapp and make the phone calls and get it done.
Exactly. Have a great game week 5, mate. Good luck. Can I just ask very quickly as well, of the 4 that we've just discussed there, can I read between the lines and say Bamford the one that's probably going to get a nod on Friday?
Yeah. If there's no further updates on the ping and hamstrings, I think he'll be coming in for Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah, nice one. Okay, I'll probably do that exact same move then. That way I can blame you if it all goes wrong. All right, mate.
Can feel together.
Exactly. All right, take care, man. Good to speak to you. Cheers for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, do give it a like, and we'll be back next week. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.